Hi, welcome back to Garden Dialogue. This is segment 3 of episode 1. And David Vernon has created something called the Facts of Life. He's created an acronym for the word FACT, which I thought was pretty interesting, and that you came up with that. That's pretty amazing. We've got F for facts, A for atonement, or I like to think of as at-one-ment, meaning unity. C for creation, T for trust, and S for separation. So let's start, obviously, with F.
Okay.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. In the Course in Miracles, one of the things that it prefaces throughout the whole manual is the gift of forgiveness. And obviously, most people know what the word means. You know, it means to cease to feel resentment against. It means to renounce anger or resentment against. You know, forgiveness, the Course teaches, is the key to happiness, and that only makes perfect sense because where else can we find release except through forgiveness? You know, if I hold on to grievances, you know, I'm not in a happy place, you know, because I'm grieving, you know, or I'm holding, you know, a grudge against someone. When I think about this, sometimes, you know, it takes me back and reminds me of an old saying, because I'm very much into those old sayings and the cliches behind them. I want to like figure them out and like be like, you know, well, what does that really mean, you know? And I think of the old saying, you know, I can forgive, I mean the old saying, you know, forgive and forget, you know. Yeah. But then there are people who have, you know, modified this statement, and they actually say, well, you know, I can forgive, but I won't forget.
Yeah, that's a contradiction.
It is. It's actually it's very contradictive. And so, in my mind, you know, if I'm not willing, you know, to forgive and also to forget, then I have actually made the choice to hold a grievance, and that's preventing forgiveness in my life.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, and I definitely have to agree. It's a state of mind, is what forgiveness is. Because if you hold a grudge against someone, that's pent up negative energy that you're bottling up, you know, and holding with you. And what negative energy just attracts is more negative energy, more negative experiences. Yeah. One negative situation after the next, and the next, and the next. So, I think that animals are a pretty awesome example, in a way, of not necessarily forgiveness, but the way they're so instinctual. They have one goal, which I think a lot of us forget that it really should be our goal, and it's to be happy. Mm-hmm. And if it is our goal, we're going at it so wrong, some of us. And whatever issues those animals have on the street, in the wilderness, blah, 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 if I have I go to someone's house and there's a cat there that, you know, just doesn't like me for whatever reason, you know what I mean? And we run into people like that all the time, that we just don't like for some reason. And really what it is, it's not really that's all an illusion. It's not even that we don't like them or hate them. It's just that there's a lack of alignment there. We're coming from two different places. Yeah. And what does the cat do? It might hiss at me, it might scratch me, but then it goes back to its post or wherever it is, and it doesn't even give it a second thought. Yeah. It just walks away and says, I'm going here because I want to feel good. I don't really like him. So, so what a lot of us do is we'll gossip about the person, negative energy. We'll talk about how much we hate them, think about how much we don't like them, or things like that that are completely unnecessary. And if we can just wipe the idea of hate altogether, you know, understand that they're doing what they're doing, and that's okay for them. It's not okay for you, but it's okay for them. And in many circumstances, if both people actually have this outlook, they can actually even interact and even be friends without being disturbed about each other's differences. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm a firm believer in how the body tends to follow what's going on in the mind. If we really think really, about grievances and what they can do to people. And let me give you just a couple of examples. My great aunt was married once, and then she never remarried, and she bought a house with my other aunt. So they lived in the same house, and they lived on separate floors, and they both really pretty much couldn't stand one another. Because of that resentment that was going on there, which is, another form of holding a grievance, I firmly believe that my aunt contracted cancer, and it eventually took her life. Another example of, how the mind, and how holding grievances can actually manifest as disease, dis-ease in the body is, I had a lover of 6 years. And although this person was, wonderful and people loved to be in his company, his parents never actually accepted the fact and never embraced him for who he really was because he was gay. And he contracted lymphoma, right? Another example.
Which is a type of cancer.
Exactly.
Right.
And he was never able, he was never able to come to terms with his parents not loving him as he was. So when we speak in terms of forgiveness, I like to think in terms of, it's universal. It's in everything. Everything. As soon as, you feel that you're getting into a situation where a grievance can occur or begin to build, that's a situation for forgiveness.
Absolutely. And actually, when you speak about that, it reminds me of one of my very favorite people and authors, Louise Hay.
Yes.
And she wrote a book called You Can Heal Your Life. She also came out with a movie called You Can Heal Your Life, the movie. I think that came out last year. And it's an incredible movie. She wrote the book You Can Heal Your Life, and what it says in the book, actually, one of the things that it says the cause for cancer is very much like what you said. It's a deep, deep resentment that literally that deep resentment eats away at you mentally, and guess what? It's going to eat at you physically too.
Yeah.
And
well, that's why I say, the word disease.
Dis-ease.
Think of, break it apart. Dis-ease.
I'm not
meaning
feeling.
That you're not at ease.
I'm not feeling ease in my life. Yeah. And I love, actually, she sort of is, for me, is the middle point in a way of Law of Attraction and A Course in Miracles, because she's not abrasive, but she's extremely empowering, and I love that. It's sort of a middle point for all that. So that's another.
If you want to know more about Louise Hay, you should pick up her book or the new DVD, You Can Heal Your Life.
You Can Heal Your Life.
Because that's been her message ever since, she kind of hit the scene,
Yeah, which the book came out in, what, you would know better than me.
I don't remember. Back in the 1900s.
I think it was in the mid-70s or something.
You remember those,
like
right? The 1900s?
I do.
Yeah.
You Can Heal Your Life has sold 60 million copies worldwide since then.
Wow.
Since then, that's kind of unheard of, so it's had a lot of effect on people.
Well, I know I've bought it many times.
Yeah.
So.